Hi, this is Rado from GamerDino and you're watching my Marvel Heroes beta review. As you probably know, the game is yet to be released to the general public and it's been available in a free weekend beta form, so please keep that in mind because some of the things that we're going to cover in the next few minutes might change by the time the game launches officially. Marvel Heroes is a free-to-play MMORPG, but in terms of gameplay, it's actually more similar to Diablo and Torchlight rather than something like World of Warcraft. You control your character from a top-down perspective, using the left mouse button to move and attack and the right mouse button to perform the equipped special ability. To the left side of your heads-up display there is a red meter which stands for your health, and to the right there is the blue spirit meter which is used for special abilities. The main focus of Marvel Heroes is, of course, our favorite superheroes from comic books like X-Men, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Daredevil and so on. Superhero fans will most probably love the game, although I don't think that it can necessarily measure up to the leading titles in the genre. Marvel Heroes is an open-world game that follows some kind of a campaign, although you're relatively free to do whatever you want. There are quests, items, shops and even crafting, all the elements that are necessary for a full-featured action RPG. The problem with Marvel Heroes is that neither of its aspects seem particularly polished. Of course, many things may change before the official launch, but right now the game just doesn't look that promising. Combat, for example, which takes up most of the game time, is actually terrible. For example, your numerous enemies just don't react to your hits and abilities. There might be some abilities that do have some kind of a visible impact, but most of the time, an enemy that you attack will simply stop moving until their HP is down to 0, at which point you see a death animation, and that's pretty much it. Some tougher enemies, as well as the bosses, have certain patterns of attack. So the only thing that you should do while fighting them is to try to avoid their attacks, take medkits and keep fighting until their HP reaches 0, at which point you see a death animation and a pile of items. Your character in Marvel Heroes levels up as you play, as in any other RPG. Once you gain a new level, you can distribute a number of points to some abilities of your choosing. Enabling the use of some new abilities, however, can be a bit tiresome, because most abilities require you to gain at least a few levels before you can activate them. There are some pretty cool special powers that you'll be able to use along the way, but many aren't particularly creative. Since the game is free to play, developers make their money through microtransactions or in-app purchases. You can spend money to unlock new superheroes or buy additional outfits for them, so overall you can pay for mostly cosmetic stuff which won't affect the gameplay. Even though Marvel Heroes uses Unreal Engine 3, the game isn't anything to write home about when it comes to its visuals. Most characters seem somewhat flat, while most of the environment feels empty and uninhabited. This is definitely not what a game about superheroes should be like. In its current form, Marvel Heroes feels more like Diablo, but instead of zombies and other monsters, there are thugs. Instead of dungeons, there is the street level. That's how unimaginative the setting of this game is. For every 50 thugs on the streets of New York, there are about 1 or 2 citizens or police officers that you're going to encounter. While playing Marvel Heroes, you never get the feeling that your actions really mean something. You're not saving anyone, you're just completing a bunch of simplistic quests because, well, because you obviously have to. So the characters are nothing spectacular from graphical standpoint, the environments are pretty barren, there's practically no dialogue while interacting with the NPCs, and guess what? Even the 2D images used to depict items in your inventory are either blurred or just plain ugly. We really hope that it's all due to Marvel Heroes still being in beta, but it just seems like there's too much stuff to fix before the game comes out. Sound effects, on the other hand, are okay for the most part, although some specific effects like explosions may sound a bit artificial. Overall, I guess that my biggest gripe with Marvel Heroes is that it doesn't feel like a superhero game. It feels like Diablo or Torchlight, but instead of a barbarian and a sorceress, you get Spider-Man and Thor. Add a flawed combat system as well as some previous gen graphics, and I'm simply unable to get excited about this upcoming release. Die-hard comic fans, on the other hand, will probably have some fun with it. Once again, I would like to point out that this is a beta review, meaning that it's based on the beta version of the game. At least some of the things outlined here might get fixed for the official launch, though I wouldn't really hold my breath.